Nice. Yeah.
I am in the middle of a thunderstorm, so if I do lose you,
Okay. Right.
we
That's
are out of the
okay.
country a little bit. So,
Right. Yeah.
uh,
Well, we're on a pretty good highway, so should have a really good signal for me for a while. So,
all right, perfect,
but yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
So, this is Brian Bailey here, and we are doing a new episode or kind of a new series, which we're calling Bottle Share. Now, our guest today is actually in a car driving, so we're not going to partake in a drink because we don't want to drink and drive, even though he's a passenger right now. But we were supposed to have a distiller on this month, and they canceled. So John Lewellen, who was our guest, is going to jump in and fill in. So John, say hello and give us a little background about yourself.
Yeah, Brian, thanks for having me. As Brian said, my name is John Llewellyn. I'm I, I have a really eclectic background, to say the least. Um, but most of the time now I spend my days my early in the week on the LPGA tour with a few players, just making sure they're in good shape going into the tournament and just working on different things with them. And so I typically will travel out on a Sunday night. I spend Monday, Tuesday, half a day Wednesday, and then come back home. And so I've really enjoyed that. I've been doing a lot of that the last, 2 to 3 years. And so it's been fun. I mean, I learned so much out there, and just from being around the players that I work with, and also, just being around, some of the great LPGA players that are there, and just watching them work and what they do and how they go about their business. And so it's been fun. Um, I'm on my way back. I was telling you, I'm on my way back from the Darius Rucker Invitational, which is a women's college tournament. So my wife, Kimberly Llewellyn, is the women's golf coach at Wake Forest University, and I was down there supporting them and watching them, and so yeah. So I'm in the car, heading back home. My ETA is about 10:28 right now, and
Nice.
so I'll be able to get in and get a nice shower and get some sleep, and that's an important thing to me in my life now. So
When you're getting old, it's naps and bedtime.
it's so true. I need to heal. I need to heal badly.
That's
So
right. But
yeah,
I'll give I had the good fortune that I worked with Kim Llewellyn at the University of Virginia. She was the head coach. I was
hmm
her assistant. That's when I met John. And
yeah,
I'll give you one of my favorite stories of John. We talked earlier that John is an optimist. Uh, we were playing an event. I think it was at Landfall, and we had a parent that was a little cantankerous,
hmm
and he Kim was new to the program. He had not met John, so he was standing on a hole complaining about how bad the UVA women's program was to John, and went off for a while to John about his wife and the program and all the things that needed to be better. And John stood there and listened and was very nice. And the guy looked at him and said, "Which one's your daughter?" And he's like, "Oh, no, I don't have a daughter. My wife is the coach for the University of Virginia."
I
And for me,
remember
I would have
that.
been a little more obnoxious. But John, being a very peaceful man, handled that much better than I. But I was like, man, that is a
Oh
different
man,
kind of
yeah,
human being right there.
I remember that, and you know what? I think like 4 years later, and maybe 10 years later, that guy's a big fan, one of the
Yeah,
biggest
no,
fans. You
he was
know,
just slow to come around.
he was. So, but yeah, no, he was excited. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
That was a good one. But
yeah, it was. No,
so here in that, kind of everything we do with Golf Cast, we're talking about golf,
yeah,
we're talking about whiskey.
yeah,
And right now, of course, we're in the golfer's mode. John, working with some of the best players in the world, a
yeah.
question I get all the time for people that are aspiring to be touring professionals is what makes the touring pro that much different than kind of the
Mm.
country club pro? Like the country club guy that might win his member
Hmm.
each weekend. What's the biggest separator from the
Oh.
people on tour versus them?
Well, sometimes it's just opportunity, but to be honest with you, uh, it's probably a level of consistency and competitiveness,
Yeah.
um, and a strong mind. I mean, gosh, we talk about this all the time. I mean, you know, you lose a lot in golf. I mean, week in and week out. I mean, you've really got to be a tough person. And we have a saying around our house, and golf will hurt your feelings. And I mean, you got to be tough minded. And so, and probably more tough minded than like me, the eternal optimist. Uh, but I really think that kind of separates it. Is there's a level of competitiveness that's there, um, and a level of just being able to bounce back,
Yeah.
being able to get back up off the ground and try to spin it in a way that's good and moving forward and learning from, and that's what I mean. That's what seems to be the difference for the elite players. I mean, there's a talent part in that. But there's something about their mental strength, that amazes me every time I'm around great players.
Yeah.
So
And it's almost
yeah,
delusion at times, right?
yeah. I mean, it has to be, to keep doing what you're doing, right? I mean, because yeah, it'll just it can beat on you after a while.
Yeah.
But you got to have a love for it. You got to have a love for competing. And I mean, the best players I've been around are ultra competitive.
Yeah.
There's just something about they're driven. They're driven to, and they're driven to win off the golf course.
Yeah.
you know and I mean, my wife's that way. I mean, I've always said she'll beat you down smiling at you. I mean, she's there to win and does not like losing, and I mean, she's always been that way. And so, I think that's what good coaches are, and I think that's what good players end up what makes the difference. So.
Yeah. So when you're at a venue and you're
Hmm.
helping a few different players, what does that look like as a coach?
Yeah, so, uh, you know I mean, I function in a number of different ways now. I've had the privilege of kind of working with Lauren Coughlin for a really long time, and so Lauren and I are in a good rhythm together.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of have, we know where her swing gets off, and we have our different, feels or thoughts or drills that we go to. We call them the toolbox, and so we go into that toolbox, and we'll we'll go through a couple of them. I mean, she goes, well, this isn't working, but this is, and we'll settle on that. But um, I I'm with her, you know, there to just kind of we're make sure the swing stays where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Um, and that could be, I mean, it's a little wider than probably most people think. Uh, Make sure it stays where she can have a consistent golf shot. And
Yeah.
then, I'm watching, and some of the things that she might not be doing well. I'm really in touch with equipment, and so I'm always watching. How are clubs performing? What do we need for this? Is there something that's not working? Could a lie possibly be off? So I mean, I'm kind of looking at all those aspects as well. And then Lauren and I, we have some things that we're working on just for her to get better. And so we'll take 20 minutes a day and go work on, something that she's trying to improve when
Yeah.
I'm there. And we'll talk through it. And with her and her level, I mean, all of these players are so good. So it's more of it's collaboration, really. Than I mean, I learn from them, they learn from me. We work out things together. So I, it's kind of just having somebody to breathe with and keep an eye on you and build you up. I mean, so there's big time here as well.
Yeah.
I have other players that like last year I started working with a couple of young ladies, and they had just come off like skids, like about, 7 missed cuts. And so,
Yeah.
with them, there's a lot more going on. I mean, I was doing some swing work. And this will probably kind of get into some of the things we're going to talk about, but I'm analyzing the routines. I'm just trying to step back and get to know them, build
Yeah.
relationships, and understand um, you know, how they go about their business. What are some things that we can change immediately? Uh, it's interesting. I mean, a lot of times it's equipment. I mean, it's super interesting. Just kind of having somebody there that I say, okay, well, hey, let's try this, and we'll talk to some of the OEM reps and bring them over and go, okay, hey, look, this just isn't performing like it needs to. So can we take a look at this and take a deep dive into this? And so you know, I mean, sometimes we overhaul bags or new driver shaft here or a different wedge grind here. So I mean, there's a lot we're looking at week to week to just try to find a stroke here or there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's at that level, finding that decimal point is the difference
yeah.
between making cuts and making money, right?
No, it is. I mean, and yes, I mean, big time. I mean, so yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm out there doing and just, trying to support and just trying to keep them on track and help them get better and reach their goals.
Nice, nice. And so for you guys that don't maybe are new to listening to anything golf cast style, we came out with a
Yep.
magazine March 1, and it's going to be quarterly. And John is giving us his time and it is helping us write some articles. And I think his son Simon might be involved coming up in the
Yeah.
future here.
And the next
That's right. Little plug
yes.
for Simon. He's the
Mhm.
real celebrity. Uh,
There we go.
but your
He
article is
is.
on routine, and I think routine's kind of a
Yes.
hot subject. Like some people swear that your routine has to be meticulous. Some people said there's no such thing as a routine. Your article was about the routine, so give us a little
Yeah.
like an overview of that.
Yeah. So y- you know, for me, I think eh, this is just this for played 30 years. So I mean, I've been around women's golf at an elite level for 30 years. Okay,
Yeah,
and so observing and just watching and to me, I mean, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle that has to come together. But like once those things kind of come together, or getting in a good routine, and what I mean by routine is I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about what time you get up, how
yep,
much sleep you get. I mean, at my level, I mean these are all things we're considering and thinking about. Um, but I really saw this in Lauren's, putting, and you've been involved with that as well. Trying to help her. She's always been an elite ball striker, and
yeah,
if she, when she puts well, she wins. But I mean that's true of anybody. It's everybody wins with a heightened putting week.
yeah. That is
But
true.
when she is a good putter, and putting, above average that week, she's a top 10 player, week in and week out, and so, um, you know, for years, she's messing around doing different things and doing this and doing that. And I just kind of watched her settle into a routine in this last year. It's very simple, but she's, does it week in and week out. It's made up of very simple parts of, a speed drill and then a short putt drill, kind of a start line drill.
Yeah,
And I mean, she does that every single day. And so what that has done for her is it has, it, it's, it, it's allowed her to have something that kind of keeps her on track. Or like in my article,
I think we lost you
it
there for a second,
orients
John.
our minds. It kind of gets us
Yeah,
ready for the task that's at hand. But at the same time, it also kind of washes over us, and so, as many of you, Brian knows, reason I said I have an eclectic background is because I'm also, uh, I've been a minister for a long time. And so, like, I've worked in and out of the church for 30 years as well. And so, like, routine to me is a lot like liturgy for those of you who go to churches that have liturgy. You go in and you say the same thing every week. And to some people, it sounds really boring because you say the same thing over and over again. But what liturgy does, and one of the brilliant aspects about it is that it just washes over you when you're there. It kind of brings you
yeah,
into a moment. It reorients you in that time that you're there, and you may not be in like there the whole time, like into it, but all of a sudden something will catch you in the midst of that and bring you into focus, and boom, you've had your you know you've worshiped for in that moment for that day or whatever. Well, that's kind of how I feel like routine is a lot with golf, is that those routines kind of bring us around when we don't want when we're not quite there, when we're not in tune
yeah,
at that moment. And if they're good drills and they're helpful drills, and they're they really kind of work a magic on a player, I think. And just get them ready to do what they need to do out there.
yeah. It kind of brings that clarity that under kind of faith. I understand, you know, there's something bigger than me. But as long as I do what I'm supposed to do,
Yeah.
it'll probably work out fine, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So your putting drills and all the drills, it's that same
Yeah.
component. As long as I stay within this realm, and I
Yeah. Yeah. I think we froze. Are you there?
the 10 degrees down on my next chip shot, what
Yeah.
you ignore the hype and go back to what you do well. You're
Yeah.
amazed on how often you'll be well.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, I want those routines, Brian, to be confident building routines. So I
Yeah,
don't want them, especially when they're going into play, I don't want them to be so difficult or so challenging. Now, I don't mind in off weeks, when they're practicing, or even on a Monday or a Tuesday, they're doing some torture putting drills, or something
yeah,
that's that's a performance, a really hard performance drill that they may fail at. But
yeah,
those routines at the end of the day for me are confident building routines. So when they
yeah,
walk away from those, they're like, oh, I'm a good putter. I just
yeah,
and that's a big piece, I think. And so people, I said this in my article, but last year, a lot of people I got a lot of like calls from different people are like, hey, will you talk about Lauren? Tell us what's the difference or what's going on. And I just go, she's just figured out her routines. I mean, um, she's figured out, okay, when do I need to get to the golf course? How much time do I need to get my body ready? What are the things that
yep,
I need to do? Eating. I mean, what do I need to eat to keep my energy levels up? How much do I need to eat throughout around the golf in order to maintain, you know, the energy that I need, and then to help me move on to the next day without ending up in an energy deficit, because I didn't
yeah.
eat enough that day I played. And so she's become, I mean, I put it this way, she's become a professional in her
There it is.
routines.
Yep.
I mean, she knows how, and she's figured out her routine. And we've been through phases where we copied other people's routines, and tried them out. And that's part of it. You learn what you are.
Yeah.
But I will tell you what's interesting is, um, is when uh, most of the players that come to me, they're they've been having trouble.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, Nelly Corder's not running over to me going, "Hey, will you look at my swing?"
That's right.
She's, I'm getting people that you need. They're like, "Hey, look, can you? I got to keep my card." And so, what's super interesting is just is is that their routines are all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, they get to the golf course at bad times. I mean, one player I was with, the first time I was with her, and she played, um, she ate a banana at the turn, and I was like, "You only ate a banana today?" And then she drifts off on the backside and,
Can't
makes three
understand.
three bogeys. And I'm like, well, maybe you lost focus. That's all I said to her. Maybe you lost focus because, your brain wasn't fueled. But I mean, it's just interesting. I mean, they're looking for a golf swing fix. That's what they think they need is a golf
Yeah.
swing fix. And for me, I'm looking at things that will give them the best opportunity to perform their best. And so for me, that's like, okay, hey, did we get 8 hours or more sleep last night? And that means if you got a 7 o'clock, 7:30 tea time, you're gonna have to go to bed at 8:30. I mean, that's just the way it goes. I mean, did you eat? Did you eat on the course? You know, did you eat enough that you can practice afterwards? Did you eat enough last night before you went to bed? Did you hydrate enough? I mean, those are all things that I'm diving into and looking at. And this year's been kind of fun because Simon graduated from Wake Forest, and his degree. What's your degree in, Simon? What's it called? Yeah, health and exercise science. Yeah. So
There you go.
yeah, and so like he's been out, and so he's working with two ladies on the LPGA tour, and he's there to warm them up, work them out when they're there during the week. But he
Yeah.
spends a lot of time preparing their snacks, talking to them about, okay, hey, look, I want you to eat on this hole, I want you to eat on that hole.
Yeah.
Giving them a routine of eating. And so what, him and I together working, we're trying to, you know, control the things that we can control. I'm going to make sure you're not tired.
Yeah.
I want to fix all of these things, and we'll work on your golf swing, and we'll work on your putting, we'll work on your chipping, but I want to fix all these things around you to make sure you got clarity of mind because they wouldn't be there, if they weren't good players already. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I was talking to a player today, and she's getting ready to tee off tomorrow, and I asked her, I said, I said, do you have your food plan for tomorrow? I mean, these are things I'm asking her. So I'm not asking her about how she's hitting it. But
Yeah.
I'm a swing coach, but I'm more concerned about that than not, than
Yeah.
those other things. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's just an interesting, kind of getting the body ready and getting it in a place where it can perform its best, and it's just a big piece to everything.
Yeah.
And that leads into mindset and all of those type of discussions that go on. So
So if you thought back, let's say 10,
yeah,
15 years ago, was
yeah.
this the mindset you would have carried out on tour?
No, no, I wouldn't have. I would have been uptight about P1 and P2 and P3 and P4, and
P 3.5.167?
exactly, and yeah, I mean, I mean, I would have. It's just, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I tell when people ask me, I coach the whole person, and
There you
so
go.
and I mean, there are areas that I can't deal with, and that's when I go to Dr. Grevelos and and to other guys that when things are beyond me, but
Yeah.
I kind of see myself as okay, overseeing all of this as much as all of these pieces, from equipment to their mental game to their nutrition to their fitness, and I'm trying to keep all of these in check and in balance, and just see where we need to add, where we need to take away. um, and so yeah, no way, Brian, I'd have been all. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, I learned a lot of this from Kim. I mean,
Yeah.
just watching her coach over the years and watching her develop her own theory, and you know um she has these buckets that she's always a lens. We call them lenses that we're always looking at our players through. Is their equipment performing? as they want. Where
Yeah,
where are they mentally? With the spirit of the game, and there's just that stuff. Just so much to it. At that
there is.
level.
There
And,
is.
and I mean, even at the average golfer level,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to it. To play to achieve the goals you want to achieve. So
What I always find very interesting, especially at the tour level, is everyone thinks that they're doing these ultra spectacular things inside of their training,
yeah,
inside of their routines. And
yeah,
really, what they've all figured out is my warm up before a round is for me to warm up, not for me to
exactly.
react to X, Y, Z.
No,
My
no,
job is to make sure that I'm doing the right things to go be ready to go play. Even like you
exactly.
talked about Lauren with her speed drill and a start line drill. Like if my speed's
Yeah.
good, my start line's good, I should have a relatively good day on the putting green.
Yes, I
You
agree.
know,
It's pretty.
so
It's,
so
it's
they
just
and
yeah.
most people think that they're doing these spectacular things, but what you really come to find out is they're really doing the simple things that keep them where they need to be to go perform,
Hmm.
which is completely different than what I think a lot of people think tour players do.
Right, right, right. They're very routine, and I'll tell you, so I got to spend you know about 10 years with a guy named Billy Wagner,
Uh-huh.
and at the Miller School there, and I mean I learned so much from him because he just got inducted into the Hall of Fame for baseball, and one of the best closers of all times. And he just used to say, he goes, being a professional athlete is just boring. He says you do the
It is.
same thing every day over and over again. And he says what you have to do to be great, you know. And I mean, he said this. I think Derek Jeter said this, he said the problem is that it wasn't that we couldn't play the game anymore. It's just that as we got older, we had to do more and more stuff, and we found ourselves like at the ballpark all day long, just prepping our bodies, then rehabbing our bodies so we could go out the next day. And and that's, I mean, where Lauren is, I mean, that one of the things that we her, we're focused on taking care of her body right now and for her to play longer. I mean, that's
Yeah.
it. She's got the other stuff figured out now. Now we're just in a race against time with her for, hey, how long can we stay strong and stay interested and stay healthy, and that's,
Yeah.
I mean, so we spend a lot of time focused on that, with her. So yeah.
No,
But
I think
yes, back to what you said. Yes, it's these simple things they do every day, um, that make the difference in there, and that's why you asked me to write it. My first article of all the things I write about routine.
yeah.
You know, I mean, I didn't write about P2.5. You know,
That's my next
um,
one. No, I'm kidding.
yeah, no, it is. I know. So,
No,
yeah.
I think it's interesting because I think as coaches stay in the business long enough, they start to figure out the knowledge of the swing and how to swing. They're all very important components, but it's
Hmm.
more managing the player and making sure that the player's ready to play is just as
Hmm.
important as any swing technique or any,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just, you as a coach, your job is to prepare the player to perform,
Hmm.
and I think, like I said, I think the coaches that I've gotten to know over time that have been in it for a while, their message always seems to go away from technical pieces and move
Hmm.
more into, I wouldn't say holistic, but more the player. Like Butch Harmon
Hmm.
is brilliant.
Hmm.
Is he the best swing coach on earth? Probably not, but is he one of the best coaches getting players to go out and play great golf? You better daggone believe it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I think there's a
And
lot
I
to it.
mean,
And for a lot of
yeah.
young coaches, that's something to think about.
Yes. I mean, and you, it's like anything. I mean, delving into the golf swing, and you need to do that, and
Oh
you
yeah.
need to understand that, and that's kind of the educational process, right? And you need to be able to see things quickly, and you need to be able to identify certain things that can help a player in a moment. You know, I mean, I get players that call me and they're like, "Okay, this is what I'm doing on the phone," and I got to come up with an answer at that moment.
Yep.
And so I mean, there's a a big part of that, that you got to learn, you got to do. But yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, at the end of the day, you're working to help this person believe in
Yep.
themselves. At the end, you've got this.
Yeah.
Let's go. You've got this. Let's go. You got all the shots. Let's go. Come on. Come
Yeah.
on. Get out
It's
there and get
amazing.
after it. It's not going to be perfect. And my favorite thing. I mean, this is my saying. And I mean, you know, it's interesting. Um, Working with, you know, I work with different. So I've worked with some men that are really good, and I spend most of my time with ladies,
Yeah.
and they're, you know, they don't like to miss shots in practice at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, like, part of what I do is I'm like, that's good enough.
Good enough. That's a great word.
Good enough. That's good enough. And what I love about all the stats and all the information about stats now is I just go, well, hey, look, you're only going to hit an 8 iron to this much, this often. So I mean, that's a really good shot.
It's good enough.
Pat yourself on the back and go try to make that putt.
That's
You
right.
know, and so that's a big part of it, is just helping them believe and understand and be realistic, and help them to know that they're not as bad as they actually think they are.
Yeah. Amen.
you
If
know
if
you're
if golfers thought they were as bad as they think they are, there wouldn't
Oh
be
my
a single
goodness.
golfer that would be any good.
No, but some of that drives them, drives them to
No,
be
it does.
great. So yeah.
No, I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
I had a player show up a couple weeks ago. I think she's going to Vanderbilt next year, and
Hmm.
the coach is like, "She's a terrible putter. Can you spend some time with her?" And she came, and if you looked at her stroke, it looked decent. Like
Hmm.
mechanically, it was okay. I was watching her, and she would miss, and on some really short putts, and it was things were just changing. I just looked at her. I go, "You're a really good ball striker, aren't you?" She goes, "Unbelievable." I said, "On the range, do you play
Hmm.
face games?" She goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "Do you bend your path and your face to path ratios and create all these different shots?" She goes, "Yes." I go, "Good, do it for me in putting."
Hmm.
She just looks at me
Yeah.
like, "What?" I said,
Yeah.
"On this putt, I want you to give me a neutral path and I wanted you to hit it with a closed face." She's like, "What?"
Hmm.
And then I said,
Hmm.
"Okay, now next one, I want a neutral path, give me an open face."
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, she's like starting to find face. And all of a sudden, she stopped missing 4, 5, 6 footers. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I go, the problem is there's a skill there that you thought you could fix it with a technical build, but you've got to remember you got to control this club face.
Hmm.
And she texted me, and I think she just won her last AJGA event.
Oh,
Said, "I've
cool.
never putted so well in my life." And literally,
Yeah.
my entire lesson was, let's learn face control.
Yeah. Yeah. Let your instincts take back over a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
I'm like,
Yeah.
"You do it on the
Yeah.
range all the time." And then we
Yeah.
we played a little low point game. "Can you change the low point in your putting stroke?" She goes, "I've never thought of
Mhm.
that." I go, "Why not?"
Mhm.
And then we said, "All right, let's play path game. Now let's
Mhm.
put path and face together. Let's really go nuts. And then let's find where you like to be, and then let's just play in that space. Is it good enough?"
Mhm. Mhm.
But again, I think a lot of that again is, 10 years ago, I would have been the same way. P1, P2, where's your face? Where's your elbow condition?
Mhm.
That's important.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
to get them to perform, and when they're on the golf course, they're not going to be able to think about X, Y, Z. But you know what? If I can give them, well, when I hit on the toe, it feels a little like this. I hit on the heel, it feels a little like this. So I can start to turn around, change that feel pattern, which might allow me to roll the ball better. Maybe I have to
Yeah.
feel like I hit it a little more in the heel to find the center, but all of a sudden my face is getting square and I'm making good contact. That's a good thing,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think again, I think
Yeah.
kind of like what you said, it's going back to the basics, getting that player to understand what they do, their feel patterns, and
Mhm.
kind of like you said with Lauren, the different feels, different this and that, that gives them the ability to adapt and be good enough to survive a round before they can go finish it or
Yes.
they fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
But I think it's interesting because, like I said, the better coaches I talk with, uh, it is amazing. Like I said, I don't get into a lot of technical conversations unless we go nerdy, and
Yeah.
we want to talk about something. But more
Yeah.
times than not, it's the conversation is, what do I need to do to manage this player for them to perform at their best level?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's the holy grail of coaching.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It's finding those pieces that you can that can make a big difference for them, you
Yep.
know. I mean, like Lauren's putting routine. I mean, he just huge.
Yeah.
I mean, and she does it every day. Every single day she does the same thing. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I mean it's just been great for her.
Her
And
speed
it's
control is
freed
nuts,
her
isn't
up.
it?
Yeah, it's really good. She's in a, I mean, and her short putting's super. You know,
Yeah.
that's that I mean, you know, her 6 foot in the end's just really good. So
You're good
I
there, and
mean
you got to
because
get
of it.
speed control, man.
Yeah,
You're gonna be all right.
yeah. Hmm. Yep.
Well, John, I've kept you long enough. We're about 35, 40 minutes. So I'll let you go.
Okay. All right,
Thank you for
cool.
joining us, Simon.
Yeah,
Thank you for driving.
yeah. Well, we'll do next time around. We'll do workout, talk about golf fitness and speed training, you know,
Nice.
next time around. You know, and that probably for some of your, um, you know, parents or for junior golfers would be super helpful because that's kind of been our area that we've really spent a lot of time in is, you know, developing junior golfers with their workouts and, you
Yeah.
know, what should they be doing during those workouts and then, you know, how to increase some distance speed training and so forth as
Nice.
well. So yeah.
I'll actually be down in Carolina. Um, my son is going to visit a couple Division II schools in North Carolina
Oh, cool. Okay.
in April for spring break.
Okay.
So that this is going to be interesting. I'm going to be on the other side of the recruiting table.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. Well, good luck with that. You
Yeah.
know, so good luck to Gavin. Best to Gavin too. You know,
Yeah,
to
he's been
find that
working hard, man.
good.
He's in 4 years, he's gone from shooting kind of 100 to being right around scratch now. So
Good.
he's worked his little
Good.
tail off.
That's good. Yeah.
So I appreciate it,
Yeah.
John. Thank you again,
Yeah.
Simon, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Okay. Take care.
All right,
Bye.
thank you.
Mhm.
Bye bye.
Okay, I'm done.